It was September 11th.
Oh.
Right there. We were all remembering.
We were never forgetting. I don't need to remember, Kyle. I never forgot.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Thank you. This picture of Kamzat.
You know who did forget, though? The Obama administration, because were
they losing fights on September?
Well, they figured Al Qaeda was all good again by so they figured in Syria it'd be a good idea to befriend Al Qaeda and fund them for years against the Syrian regime, and that funding continued into the Trump administration. We've been siding with Al Qaeda for years and years.
Yeah.
That came out in Tulsi Gabbard's Senate confirmation. The guy was like, "What about when you puppet this Russian propaganda?" And she's like, "Actually, what I said was I joined the military in the wake of 9/11 when Al Qaeda killed 3,400 Americans. And so when I found out that we were funding Al Qaeda in Syria, siding with them, and there's this memo here that says Al Qaeda's on our side now in the Obama administration, I didn't like it very much. So yeah, I repeated it." And it's like, oh, and he's like, "Yeah, but you repeated the propaganda." Like he couldn't attack anything.
Was it Al Qaeda or ISIS?
It's Al Qaeda.
Al Qaeda. Because I mean, it's like we've known for a long time that like our intelligence operations like fund rebels.
Not Al Qaeda. The people who took down the Twin Towers.
They were on the bad list, but maybe not.
7 years before, like it was right. It's not. This isn't one of those like, well, 50 years had passed. Japan's on our side now, kind of situation.
They are. They're on our side. We give them a pass.
Exactly. This isn't that. This is 7 years after 9/11. The Obama administration is working with Al Qaeda in Syria because it behooves them, because they don't like the Assad regime, because they side with Russia.
All sorts of moderate rebels down there.
This is not a moderate rebel. It is a
I know that's what we're told, that we side with moderate rebels, and then in reality,
we often do. Different. This is different. This one's awful. It's absurd. I really hate when I find stuff like that out. That's just such a betrayal. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Don't like it one bit. Those Al Qaeda guys, those ISIS guys, 2 thumbs down from me.
Oh,
I don't like them one bit.
Rascals.
I'm in awe.
You know what? I won't hold back. Screw those guys.
Heck them, maybe.
Boo! I boo the rebels in the both sides. Both of the bad sides. No good there. No good from it. Yeah, this picture of Kamzat Chimaev, even though it looks like he is Russian, like if you black and whited his picture at this press conference and just imposed it over one of the passports they found in the towers, it would fit right in. It'd be like, yeah, that definitely, that's him. That's who, Mohammed Mashimadi, whatever his name was.
We're talking about conspiracy theories before the show. But an hour before the show, I was talking to Scum about conspiracy theories, and we were talking about the plane that supposedly hit the Pentagon. We brought it up because we've recently had a few plane crashes. When that plane hit the chopper over the Potomac, it's like, holy shit, look at that. The whole plane's there when they pull it up out. But that plane that hit the Pentagon vaporized. Engines and all. It just turned into powder somehow. And I started pulling up those Pentagon pictures again. I'm like, weren't the wings wider than that? Just seems like that one room exploded and then everything kind of collapsed on top of it. I don't think a plane hit the Pentagon. I think we hit it with a missile or something.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't it happen right after, like, the Pentagon announced, like within a couple of days, the Pentagon was like, "Hey, we lost a couple $1 trillion. Really sorry about this." That was before. That happened. Then 9/11 happened, and it destroyed a lot of what would have allowed them to suss out that information.
I don't know anything about
the plane that was intact, though, was on its landing approach, right? At its sort of minimum speed. And the plane that hit the Pentagon, I don't know the answer, but I assume it was going pretty quick. That could make a difference.
Maximum speed, you'd imagine. They were giving her all she got. I would.
Yeah.
They weren't in
as I can without missing.
Yeah.
I feel like the engine should be laying out there in the yard somewhere, though. Or like one of them.
You'd think, right? Like
a dinner tray or something out there.
or a passport, like in
all
New
we
York.
found was an intact passport at the site.
We found an intact passport at this free fall speed demolition. No other steel buildings ever fallen like this, but shut the fuck up. That's an interesting one.
I just don't trust our government at all when they say things. I just think that there's a lot of lying and a lot of nonsense.
Fool us about a lot of stuff, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
They can't fool me. I always know what the truth is.
No, they're pretty good at it. They're pretty good at fooling us.
It doesn't matter what the topic is. Virology. It can be anything. Fluoride. You come to Woody. I've got it.
But Trump has that new facility over there. There's pictures of it it's a tent city. All right. It's a tent city that for 30,000 people is what they built in Cuba. And I'm thinking of sending him there because that's where they send the Venezuelan gang members who they don't trust Venezuela to actually imprison.
How do we get Cuba on board for that?
They've been on board with it for quite a while. We've owned that base for a long time. They're not necessarily on board with it as much as they can't fucking do anything about it. It's Guantanamo Bay. Big facility. There's a naval base. There's runways, multiple like facilities there, hangars and such.
Been.
I haven't either. I always fear going there because it would be the end of us all.
If I were to visit any prison,
you don't come back.
Interested.
Yeah, you don't come back. You don't. That's a scary place.
If I were to tour any prison, it would probably be that one because you could just sign up to go look at Alcatraz. They'll just walk you through Alcatraz and be like, "This is
attraction."
Yeah, but like nobody can just go tour Guantanamo Bay. It'd be cool to like see what's actually going down there. I bet it wouldn't even be that exciting. It'd be like, you know what? The real excitement is like the like black ops team of interrogators. You know, all the rooms are just normal ass concrete rooms, and then probably I imagine a lot of hooks, like scary hooks and implements in some of those rooms.
Here you go.
But maybe that's giving them too much credit.
No, you're pretty dead on. These are some of the photos that a prisoner who stayed there drew of his torture and treatment over the years. They call him the forever prisoner because we've had him for like 20 years and never charged him, and we don't plan to charge him. We'll just keep him.
That's why they're there. Like, there's no right to a speedy trial. There's no rights at all.
Yeah. Yep. What was he accused of? Terrorism?
Yes.
He was engaged in terror.
Yep, engaged in terror. And so now we put earplugs into his ears for 3 days straight, blaring rock music, and then we deafen him for 3 days with noise-canceling earplugs, and then we spray his doo-doo butt in a big cage, apparently. These are he drew these of the things they would do to him. They're in the right-handed.
What is spraying his doo-doo butt? Because
they're freezing him. He's bent over in that position. He can't get out of that. His ankles are handcuffed to the chair. He's bent over the back of it, and then his hands are handcuffed to the other legs, and it's bolted to the floor. And then they're spraying him with freezing water in a room that is essentially refrigerated. Air conditioning doesn't really describe what's being done in that room. It's probably 40 degrees in there.
So it's been 21 years.
There's like 12 more photos. It's rough stuff. 20 years or so, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they think he was involved in like 9/11.
I don't remember his specific charges. It's in that article there. But yeah, terrorism. Most of the guys that are there that we keep for that long had ties to Al Qaeda and were part of the 9/11 situation, or like some of the things that happened right thereafter with Al Qaeda. There was some anthrax stuff going on and some more minor bombings that kind of got swept away through the pages of history. I don't really remember. There was that one. They're pretty good. He had plenty of time.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That's not his first draft. There's one of them where they're putting a power drill in his head.
Wow. Clearly not like, maybe it was just like a Neuralink level. Just
it's not what he says was that they let him listen to them power drill another prisoner. But what it sounded like to me is they made it sound like they were power drilling another prisoner to scare him. Maybe we power drilled a prisoner. That might have happened, but
corner of the room is full of ruined coconuts.
Yeah, that's rough stuff. Yeah. I want to go there.
I would. Well, I'd be interested in touring. You're not going to stay.
They tie him to the chair naked, and he like got doo-doo butt, and they got like 2 buckets. One of them's full of shit, and one of them's full of period blood. And they're like, you decide which one the Quran goes in, like stuff like that. Or they'd have like have him in there. They'd have him in there like naked with doo-doo butt, and they'd bring in like a sexy lady dressed like in like evening attire, and like just to fuck with him and have her ask him the questions.
Oh damn! Do you think the guards bully the guard who like is like period blood guard?
I don't think so. I don't know where they get
Officer
all that
Watson,
period
you're
blood.
new here, which means you're on period bucket duty. As you know, there are no women here, so it is up to you to figure this out. Oh, fuck.
Where do they get all that period blood? Oh, I don't know.
Dude, if he's blindfolded this whole time, I would be doing a lot of like mimery. I'd be like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put the last photo of your family in the blood bucket. And he's like calling my bluff. He's like, fucking do it. And I'm like, shit. I didn't get the blood bucket.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Paint, yeah.
You could kill a chicken or something.
Yeah,
Cuba, there's tons of them.
There's something.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, so pretty horrific.
When I got my license, we invaded Iraq for the first time. I was like, God damn it.
Why does that matter?
Because it raised the price of fuel by so much. It was by like 40% or something.
I bet. They were burning those oil fields on the way out. That's some of the most apocalyptic imagery ever. The burning Kuwaiti oil fields. There's some angles of sunsets through those that are just beautifully horrible. You know?
Really? That sounds cool.
There's half a dozen oil derricks just gushing fire with the blackest black on top, and then the wind is catching it and making it turn 90 degrees, and then that desert sun going down over the dunes is catching all that fucking gas and fumes and the smoke, and it's like filtering through it's beautiful.
Yeah. The way they put it out is wild. They just create such a large explosion that all the burns out, I guess, and then it just starts going clean fuel and no flame anymore. It looked like a dangerous job, and the people that did it were men's men.
So they just bombed the fire away?
No, it was more like up close and personal. Like in the fire, they would have a cap kind of ready, and then they'd put some sort of explosive in there, kaboom, and then quickly cap it.
So that's cool.
Do you know something about this, Kyle?
I don't know what they did or specifically what you're referring to, but I know a lot of times explosives are used to put out the fire part it works in a couple ways, but it eats up all the oxygen for one thing, and it lets the fire get out so they can more safely approach and cap. The Soviets used nuclear weapons to stop burning oil wells, not once, but like 3 or 4 times. Like they put nuclear weapons under the ground and detonated them to crush where the gas was coming from under the earth to
plug it.
Yeah. They did it a couple times. The Soviets are badass with those nukes. They didn't give a damn.
They just didn't give a shit.
Post World War II, there was a big move to industrialize the nuclear weapon. We had discovered this incredibly potent form of destructive energy, and was there any way to turn this toward mining or agriculture? Could we use it to cut a canal across vast territories and bring the ocean in to irrigate landscapes and so on and so forth? And it was eventually they just didn't, thank God, because it just doesn't seem like a good idea. But I think the Soviets did some mining with nukes. They would open pit mining where they would bury the nuke and detonate it, and all the earth would flatten out and move away so they could find
I bet it's quick. I mean, what else could be faster than detonating a nuke to make the hole you want bigger?
I guess so.
Is there a faster way? Nobody trifles with that anymore? Probably against some law.
Yeah, there's a nuclear proliferation treaty. It's probably covered under that, where it's the nuclear testing ban or whatever, because I don't think we can test them anywhere anymore. There was one that went off in the South Pacific, maybe, that no one owned up to in the 60s or 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Like a nuke went off after the ban treaty, and everybody was like, whoa, because you can detect the radiation in a number of other ways. Like, we know when a nuclear weapon goes off on this planet. It's something we're really good at. And we're like, oh, one went off. Who was that? And Russia's like, not us. And the UK is like, nah, man, we only got so many. And everybody's like, well, who then? And the French and the Israelis are like, not us. We're not, down here in the South Pacific making war. But that's what was happening. The French and the Israelis were working together building nuclear weapons.
Sneaky bees.
Yeah.